Hi there, and welcome back to my Japanning series of tips and advice to help you plan your trip to Japan. And today we're talking about Osaka. Now, before I went, I really didn't know that much about it. All I really knew was the famous view of the canal, which is called Dotonbori, with that famous Glico Running Man sign, which I can't believe when I was actually there, I couldn't find it. And then it turned out to be right behind me. And then when I did some research about Osaka, all I could really find were articles about how amazing the food is and that there aren't that many tourist attractions. But it turns out there's actually loads of things to do. So I thought I'd share my experiences with you, along with some practical information about where to stay and how to get around the city, so you can decide if it's somewhere you might want to go. There's videos about lots of the places I'm going to mention on my channel. They're all together in a playlist. I'll put the link in the description. And if you want to subscribe, there's new Japan videos every Thursday. I'm just about to start my new series of Japan vlogs. There's going to be new places in Tokyo, and then I'll be going north to Hokkaido and the Sapporo Snow Festival. It was so cold, but it was beautiful and I can't wait to show you. To start with, here's my impressions of what I liked about Osaka. Now, before I went to Osaka, I didn't really expect to like it that much. For some reason, I don't know why, I got this impression that it was going to be a bit shabby and I wouldn't really like it that much, but it took me completely by surprise. I was blown away. It's got a really fun atmosphere, it's a really buzzing city, and there's just so much going on. To me, it felt like Tokyo the sequel, because it is another big city, and I'm not sure I would have appreciated it as much if it had been my first trip to Japan. Because I've been to Tokyo quite a few times and I'm quite familiar with all the main areas, so to go to Osaka, which is another big city with areas that I'd never been to, brought back that same excitement from when I first went to Tokyo. So for that reason, I say it would be a good place to visit on maybe your second or your third trip to Japan. Next, how to get there. It takes about 2.75 hours from Tokyo to Osaka on the bullet train, and that is covered by your Japan Rail Pass. When I was there, the trains were really frequent. There was about one every 10 minutes. There's also an airport, Kansai International Airport, or KIX. They do have international flights, so you might be able to fly from your country into Osaka or fly home from Osaka at the end of your trip, which might save you time. Osaka and Kyoto. Now, what I didn't realise at first is that Osaka and Kyoto are actually really close together. If you have a JR pass, you can travel between them on the bullet train in only 15 minutes, and it's only half an hour on the regular train. So what that means is you can stay in one of them and you can really easily go on day trips to the other one. So you don't have to move hotels or stay in both of them unless you want to. One of the most popular itineraries for people who want to travel around Japan a bit is to start in Tokyo, then go to Hakone and see Mount Fuji, and then go to Osaka and Kyoto, and that's known as the Golden Route. Now, I don't want to tell you to do the same thing that everybody does, but that's a really popular route for people who want to travel around and see a bit more of Japan outside Tokyo. As a really quick beginner's guide, Kyoto is a historic city. It's got a lot of temples and shrines and gardens, and if you think of beautiful, elegant, traditional Japan, that's Kyoto. Osaka, on the other hand, is a big, busy, modern city, and compared to Tokyo, it's known as being more fun, more friendly, and having amazing food, although Tokyo's food is excellent too. So because they're so close together, if you stay in Osaka or Kyoto, you can really easily visit them both and see historic and modern cities in Japan. Before I carry on, if you like my dress, it's my new design. There's a border print of ancient Egyptian style animals enjoying the party of their afterlife. If you find my videos helpful, buying something from my shop is a way you can support Cakes with Faces, and I really do appreciate it. You can get the dress and all my other designs on cakeswithfaces.co.uk or Cakes with Faces on Etsy. I'll put the links in the description, and there's very reasonable shipping rates to any country in the world. Next, I'm going to take you through my itinerary to give you an idea of how long you might want to stay there. I was in Osaka for 3 nights, so I had the evening when we arrived and then 2 full days. And if you want to know more about any of these places, there's videos on my channel. On the first night, we went to see the cherry blossoms at the Osaka Mint. Now, this was really lucky because it's only open for 1 week in the year in mid-April. Wherever you're staying in Japan, it's always worth looking up and seeing if there's any festivals or matsuri on when you're there. Next, we went to the Umeda Sky Building, which is a tower with really unusual architecture, and the view from the top was amazing. I don't know what it was about it, but it was just really stunning, and it's definitely one of the best city views I've seen. On the first full day, we went to Amemura, or Amerikamura, which is American Village. It's a little area with lots of thrift stores selling American clothing, and it's got a kind of alternative feel. There's also a lot of music and guitar shops there, and I found a lot of stores that you also find in Harajuku. We also found an amazing pinball arcade, which was so much fun. They had the most obscure pinball machines. We even found one for Domino's Pizza. And then we went to DenDen Town, which is Osaka's version of Akihabara, with anime merch shops, figures, games arcades and maid cafes. It's not quite as full on as Akihabara, it's a bit more laid back and not quite as overwhelming. Then in the evening we went to Dotonbori, which is the area around the canal, and that really comes alive at night. There were so many people there and the atmosphere was amazing. Then we went on the ferris wheel on Don Quixote, which is unusual because it's an elliptical shape. There's also another ferris wheel on Het 5 shopping centre, and because they're both on top of buildings, they both have great views. I think there's another ferris wheel in Osaka as well, so if you like ferris wheels, Osaka has you covered. The second day was a bit more chilled. We went to Minnow Park, which is quite an easy walk in a countryside park, and you can see a big waterfall. Their local speciality is a tempura maple leaf, and I must say it's not every day you get to eat a fried leaf. Then after that we went to Osaka Castle, but it was too late to go in by that time, and then it started raining, so I didn't make a video about that one. Next, other things to do. There's lots of other things to do in Osaka that I didn't do. First is the Shinsekai Tennoji area, which is in the south of the centre, and I don't know what happened. When I was there, I just completely forgot about it. It's a bit of a retro, less shiny area around the Tsutenkaku Tower, and you might have seen the pictures with the blowfish sign, and it looks really colourful and interesting. I really wanted to go on a boat trip, but we just ran out of time. You can go on a short trip up and down Dotonbori, but the one I wanted to do was around the river by the castle. And there's also a Gudetama theme cafe in Het 5 shopping centre, and I didn't have time to go to that. One of the most popular places to visit is Universal Studios Japan, which is quite similar to the US version. It's got the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and there's some things that I don't think they have in the US, like Hello Kitty, and sometimes they have temporary anime themed attractions. There's the world's largest aquarium, apparently that's really good, and there's the Asahi Beer Factory. You do get free samples. It's not completely in the city centre, it's only a little bit north, but you do need to make a little trip out to get to that. There's Spa World, which is a hot spring theme park. It looks nothing like a traditional Japanese onsen. It's got different rooms with themed baths for you to go in. And there's loads of shopping malls. One I did want to go to was Namba Parks because they have a roof garden. It's on loads of different levels and it's got waterfalls and things. I don't know if it looks as good when you're on it as it does from the aerial photos, but I would have liked to visit that one. Something that might save you money is the Osaka Amazing Pass. You can get it for 1 or 2 days and it includes all your transport on the trains and buses, and you can go for free to over 40 attractions, including some museums, some boat trips, some of those ferris wheels, the Umeda Sky Building and the castle. It's 2,700 yen for 1 day or 3,600 yen for 2 days. Day trips. Osaka would be a good place to stay as a base for exploring the rest of the area, and there's quite a lot of day trips you can go on. So as well as Kyoto, there's Nara, where a lot of people like to go and see all the deer. There's Hiroshima and Miyajima, which is one of the most beautiful places I've been in Japan, with that torii in the water. I really loved it there. There's also Lake Biwa, which is Japan's largest inland lake, and that's also got a torii in the water. Mount Koya is a mountain you can go up with all woodland and mysterious temples in the woods. And there's Kobe, which you probably know for Kobe beef, but it looks like there's loads of other interesting things there too. And if I went back to Osaka, I would probably go there. Next, what about the food? Osaka's slogan is "Eat till you go broke," and that does seem to be pretty much true. There's so much good food and so many places to eat. I even saw someone eating takoyaki while they were in the queue for a restaurant. The regional specialities seem to be a bit less healthy than your typical Japanese foods. There's a lot of deep fried but delicious things. There's takoyaki, which is batter with little pieces of octopus inside. Kushikatsu, which is meat and vegetables on sticks in breadcrumbs, also deep fried with dipping sauce. And okonomiyaki, one of my favourites. It's like pancake batter with shredded cabbage and toppings and really delicious sauce. Where to stay? When I was booking my trip, I heard the best places to stay are Umeda or Namba. Umeda is in the north of the centre and it's the high-rise, businessy sort of area. It feels a lot like Tokyo. And Namba is around Dotonbori, so you're right in the middle of everything. I stayed in Namba in Shinsaibashi. I was quite near Amemura and I could also walk to Dotonbori, DenDen Town and the Nipponbashi area. I'd recommend staying somewhere near Dotonbori, either north or south. Both would be a really convenient place to stay. How to get around? There's subway lines and regular trains, and if you have a Suica or Passmo card from the trains in Tokyo, you can also use that in Osaka too. There's more about that in my Getting Around Tokyo video. There are some JR train lines. The main line is a ring around Osaka, which for me I found was a bit too far out to be really useful. So I didn't make that much use of my JR pass while I was staying in Osaka, but I think it would depend on what you do. If you're arriving on the shinkansen, the bullet train, you'll arrive at Shin Osaka Station, which is a little bit north of the city, but it's really easy to get in on the subway. And just like in Tokyo, all the signs are in English. Finally, some tips for you. There's a lot of bikes. Osaka's quite flat, so a lot of people tend to cycle around, and I don't know if they're allowed to, but they cycle on the pavement, so a lot of the time we had to walk single file, so we didn't get run over. There's quite a lot of queues for restaurants. Some people say if you see a queue, you know a place is good. I don't know about that, but just be prepared and don't leave it till you're starving hungry, because you might have to wait in line for a bit. Or you could always get some takoyaki for the queue, like that guy I saw. Finally, in Osaka, they speak Kansai dialect, which is the regional accent, and they have some of their own words that are different from the rest of Japan. Now, as a tourist and at my basic level of Japanese, I didn't really notice it too much. But one thing you can learn is you can say okini to say thank you. Okini. So there you go, that was my guide to Osaka. Some things you can do, some day trips, some practical tips, so you can decide if it's somewhere you want to go on your trip to Japan. Next, I can't wait to show you my new series of Japan videos, so I'll see you next week on Thursday.